Yo, what's going on, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome to the fourth round of the Buffalo versus Rochester 5v5 Team War Iron Man, whatever you want to call it. So if you guys saw the last video in this series, you would have seen Colin Goodrich up 3-0 so far over the Rochester team. Buffalo still has all of their players left, and Rochester only has 2 players left. $500 total. And $250 from each team. So the winning team will win $250, the losing team will lose $250, obviously. So we're gonna see Swordsoul as we've been seeing the past 3 matches or so. Same player versus Adventurer Phantom Knight. This is Figs on the right. He actually does have a YouTube channel. It's called Figs Form. So if you want to check out his content, I'll leave a link to it at the top of the description for you guys to check out. So yeah, definitely go check that out. But yeah. So we're going to see Adventurer Phantom Knight here. He does win die roll. Really needs to kind of pull it in here for Team Rochester. Rochester, New York. I know always people ask like Minnesota, but no, this is Rochester, New York. This is also where this event was held at Millennium Games. So yeah. Pretty interesting matchup, pretty interesting deck. I've heard of Adventurer Phantom Knight, but this Phantom Knight build has a little extra something to it that you guys watching might already be aware of. I think it was popularized by some of the European like national builds, playing like rank up stuff, which is really cool. And you guys will see that later on in the match. But if anything's for sure, Figs definitely needs to get a win here to get Rochester back in this, being obviously that they only have 2 players left. And opening up like this, certainly not going to help. Just going for a Griffin Rider, Omni Negate, and 2 set, which I believe are double Infinite Impermanence, which are going to kind of go in against Swordsoul. Imperm and Valor-like effects tend to do very well against Swordsoul, since they need their on-field effects to resolve, like Moe and Taya. Not always, though. It can definitely be played around. Colin looks to have opened double Imperm, Ashina, Adhara, and a spell card that I can only assume is probably Emergence. Might be something else, but we're going to see Colin lead here with the Wandering Griffin Rider. Or not the Wandering Griffin Rider. Lead with an Imperm on Wandering Griffin Rider. My apologies. And this is going to just be a nice little easy out to the Griffin Rider here. You definitely don't even just use Griffin, although you could definitely just Griffin negate here, just to get the Griffin back in the deck, to keep it in circulation, because now if you leave it on the field, you run the risk of it getting sent to the graveyard, and then it's no longer a searchable target off Fateful Adventure, which could come up later in the game. Having access to Griffin later on is always nice. It looks like he will not opt to trade there 1-for-1. Maybe afraid of getting OTK'd, so just wanting to keep the body on field, which I totally understand. We're going to see Colin special summon out Ashina, link it for Monk, and then activate Ashina effect to summon out of Ashuda. I know you guys cannot see that card. I've addressed this, I think, in like every video. There's a massive glare on the bottom left side of the screen. Didn't have enough time during setup to make sure I could get a really clean visual all around, although next time, since we'll be doing the run back at my locals, I have a dedicated filming spot that has no glares, so we should be good on that end. So shouldn't really be happening again. Yeah, looks like after some deliberation with the team, because you can do that in these Iron Man style events, you can talk to a teammate or 2 and get ideas and input on, especially since there's money on the line and stuff, not just a little bit of money, a lot of money. So we're gonna see him normal summon Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and gonna play around the back row, which I assume, with seeing wings sent to the graveyard, this is Phantom Knight. And this is also going to just like try to play around Fog Blades, because if you see a Phantom Knight deck set a couple cards like that, you can assume it's one of 2 things. It's probably Imperms or it's Fog Blades. And you definitely don't want to commit a Swordsoul play to the board under those conditions, because you're just going to lose out big time. So just getting a level 7 non-tuner and a level 3 tuner on field without having to worry about resolving any effects, definitely a safer way of playing about this. And we're going to see him go into the Cheng Ying. That is not Baron, because he is worm locked via Ashina. And Cheng Ying does put a lot of work in here too, being able to clear bodies and just making it overall more difficult for Phantom Knight to play to begin with, because they require a lot of banishing to go about their combos, and they like having certain pieces in graveyard, and Chen Ying is just going to make that a lot more difficult to try to execute that plan. And Chen Ying also just still hitting. Just an incredible card all around, very hard to out. And if you can bring it back off of Monk, yeah, you can out it one time, but good luck outing it a second time. So yeah, it's going to be kind of a reoccurring threat here for Figs if he cannot out it this turn. But of course, having access to Wandering Griffin Rider still, or not Griffin Rider, but Draco back, does give him an easy access to an out here. But that would mean he needs to have another copy of Right in Hand, or he would need to have a copy of Enchantress, and Enchantress requires banishing a card, which will trigger Chen Ying. So, okay, he will have that Imperm. You do have to use it there if you want to do any sort of adventurer plays, which he does have the Enchantress. So we'll go ahead and Imperm the Chen Ying, turning it off, and then activating Enchantress in hand to go ahead and add a copy of Rite of Aramesir. And then this will get him access to the token, and that will trigger the effect of Fateful, since it's already in play, to go ahead and search the equip spell. Either equip it directly from deck or add it to the hand. And I imagine he'll add to the hand here, so we can use Fateful effect to search and discard, just so you can get an extra card in circulation, right? Deck then a little bit, because they haven't seen really any Phantom Knight names here, which is really unfortunate. So you probably want to deck then as much as possible, and also give yourself follow-up, right? There's no harm in getting the Enchantress out of the deck and into the graveyard for, you know, setup next turn, or just leaving it in hand, because it is a level 3 extender, especially with the Adventurer token being on board. We'll see him discard the Draco back effect to equip to the token. And yeah, like I said, it being a level 3 extender is kind of nice, because it can get you into Cherubini too, which is kind of cool. And Cherubini can also send Enchantress as well. So we'll see Draco back bounce the Chen Ying back to the extra deck, clearing that threat for now. And then we're going to see him go Battle Phase, attack over the Monk for 1,000, and then over for 15, or directly for 15, for a total of 25. And unfortunately, we'll have to pass there. Not really seeing any other engine cards, no Phantom Knight cards here, very unfortunate. We're going to see Colin normal summon Taya, banish a Monk to activate effect. It will resolve here since, you know, all the back row has been cleared. Don't have to worry about Fog Blades or Imperms anymore. We're going to see him go for the Baxia line. Chainlink 1 Baxia, Chainlink 2 Taya. And if this resolves, I also saw, I think I might have seen Colin draw an Ecclesia. I could be wrong. I might be thinking of something else. Can't tell what that last card in hand is. But he will get to send a card. Possibly could go for Mo Yi here for Boxia to be able to revive. You know, kind of a standard play that we see Swordsoul do. Yep, so Taya will go ahead and dump the Mo Yi. And then we're going to see him get rid of Token and Fateful. And then we're going to see him pop the set, which was a droplet. You're not really going to need it at this point since you're just going to go for game. Or at least try to anyways. And also it has still another Imperm set in the back line too. And, I mean, if you have to choose one or the other, I feel like keeping the Imperm is probably better because the one doesn't require you to give up card advantage. Can just trade 1 for 1 here, which is all you really need in a simplified game state. We're going to see that Mo Yi draw into a Pot of Desires, which is really strong. We're going to see Chi Zhao go ahead and search the Blackout, and he does have Emergence. I could definitely just see this being game here, so he will go ahead and use it to search a Worm since he does control a Synchro. Says Boxia, Chi Zhao, and then at this point, you know, you got to put them on have that hand trap they need, which is Nibiru, and odds are they probably don't have it here because it's a little too late at this point. We're going to see him go for Baron, and yeah, Baron pop the Enchantress, and that's just going to be an OTK. So yeah, didn't even need to use the Desires there. We are into a game 2. Calling up 1-0 here. Not looking too hot for Rochester. Granted, Figs did not open up well at all here. But that's happened a couple times so far this 5v5. Also, quick shout out to Imperium Duelist. Check out my discount code in the description. Winner kills 10 off. Use it to check out to save 10% off your entire order. And don't forget to use my TCG Player affiliate link found in the description of all my videos. If you guys shop and check out using that link as well, but the revenue from your purchase will go right back in the channel and helps out a ton. Also, the giveaway winner has been selected. Check the community tab, and if you are the winner, get in touch with me. That way I can get shipping information and send out the cards. So yeah, into a game 2 here. Hopefully Figs can open up better than he did in game 1. But what I was saying earlier is that we have seen a couple of really bad hands from, I want to say, all parties so far this 5v5. I think Brian had a very rough hand in the first round. Colin also had a very rough hand in the first game of the first match. Literally just drew 5 cards and said pass turn. It does happen. And when it does happen, it sucks, but there's really not much you can do about it. So we're going to go ahead and see Figs lead here with more adventurer cards. Hopefully there's Phantom Knight cards here. Because as we've seen, like a lot of decks on this Rochester team, all running the adventurer engine, which is kind of funny because it means that Token Collector is most likely not in their side decks. They might have other cards like Droll and Lockbird, which really aren't too good against Swordsoul. And being a Swordsoul player, you know, recently at least in the past, myself, not having to worry about Token Collector takes a lot of pressure and weight off your shoulders. That's for sure. Yeah, really nice not having to worry about that, because once you see those adventurer cards come down, you're like, okay, odds are they're probably not on Collector. At least you can bank on those odds, I would say. Nibiru, on the other hand, that's a different thing. Still got to worry about Nibiru quite a bit, and just in general, like imperms and things like that, those cards are always going to be pretty high impact. But we will see Figs get into the chair beanie here with a Torn Scale, so finally getting access to some engine. We're going to see him go ahead and dump the cloak off the chair beanie. Cloak's going to go ahead and add boots, and then we're going to see Torn Scale summon itself out here. So love to see the Phantom Knight engine here getting rolling. Also have the Wandering Griffin Rider in play now to be able to protect any further plays. Colin does have Imperm Duster, which that Duster is going to put in a ton of work. We're going to see him go ahead and link the Break Sword and the Chair Beanie for Rusty Bardiche. So getting that Xyz monster engrave. Also, still hasn't used Torn Scales on field effect here, which is important to note, I feel like. But we will see him use Rusty now, the on-field effect, obviously, to go ahead and send and set. But, I mean, if there was ever a good point to go ahead and imperm this deck, it's probably right now on Rusty. And if he doesn't Griffin negate it, fine, he loses out on the advantage. And if he does Griffin negate it, fine, imperm just trades 1 for 1. One last thing you have to worry about going into the next turn. So he will go ahead and set, I believe, a Fog Blade. And now we're going to see the boots add the rank up magic launch, and we're also going to see him send the gloves off of the Rusty, and that's going to go ahead and dump the wings. And then we're also going to see Enchantress activate, adding a copy of Right for next turn. And now we're going to see wings activate, go ahead and summon from grave. It's going to go ahead and summon out the Break Sword. And then I imagine here we'll see the rank up magic activate to go ahead and summon Evil Swarm Ophion, which is an incredible throwback. Yeah, I haven't seen this card in years, and I think this is the card that, you know, the tech that other Phantom Knight lists from, like, other national events were running, at least over in Europe, is from what I've heard and seen in the past. So I think this is where this is inspired from, which is really cool. Ophion, going to be a really high impact card against Swordsoul here. For those that don't know what it does, it has a continuous effect that says neither, or I think it has material. It says neither player can summon level 5 or higher monsters, which is, if you know anything about Swordsoul, pretty much the entire deck. But it does have ways to deal with it. We're going to see the Ophion Search Infestation, which is a cool quick play that I can activate to make it so I believe all Evil Swarm monsters, at least one Evil Swarm monster you target, one like that effect. I can't speak, but it's basically going to make Ophion immune to spell and trap effects, which means you can't imperm it here, you can't droplet it, which is kind of strong. And Duster's going to trade for a lot of cards there. I'm going to trade with a Called by the Grave, which is huge. A Fog Blade, getting rid of Fateful too is very nice. And the Draco back will just re-equip itself like it usually does. So we're going to see Emergence activate. That's going to go ahead and grab Taya here. And I also see DD Crow in hand for Colin, which I believe was the top deck. And that's going to trade beautifully with the Fog Blade. You know, the target. That'll stop another interruption here So we're going to see Taya go ahead and activate its effect, banishing Emergence, and that'll get token, and it looks like on res we're going to see Fogblade, and then like Colin frame one with the DD Crow, just strapped with it. Going to go ahead and banish the target, which was the Break Sword. I mean, that's like the best thing to hit anyways, because if that comes out, it's going to trigger Rusty to pop, since a Dark Exceeds was summoned to his own points too. But Torn Scales will still hit the board. He's like, can't summon level 5 or higher, unaffected by spells and traps, whatever. Vishuda? That's nice, but Vishuda? Kind of nice here. One of the better outs the deck has to a card like that. You just kind of put your opponent on have Vishuda, right? Have a way to get token. Have like Adara plus Vishuda to out it. Like, there's a very specific set of cards you need to deal with it. Colin just happened to have it here, which I mean, it's not like super unlikely. Like, I want to say like, you know, Taya Vishuda or Emergence Vishuda will do it. Adara Vishuda will do it. Even like Adara, yeah, Adara Vishuda will do it for sure. Yeah, we're just going to see him go for the Boxia. That's going to spin away the rest of the threats, leaving the Torn Scales on field, because that's just going to go ahead and get banished once it leaves the field. And then we're going to go ahead and see a Chi Xiao here. And players discussing amongst themselves. I'm not sure exactly what. I think they're just discussing the order of the chain links. I think it was going to be chain link 1 Chi Xiao, chain link 2 Moyi. Drawing Emergence there, which I mean is what it is. Like, it's not the best draw here at this point since they've already used Emergence. Taking a look at the graveyard, I think Colin was just asking if the rank up spell does anything in the grave currently. And I think it does, but he needs like have a Dark Exceeds in play. We're going to see him go ahead and summon out Longyan. While he has token up, he's going to use Adara to add back. And then we're going to see him Synchro 10 here. And that's going to go into Baron to Fleur. Burn 12. Baron banish, basically, here, the Torn Scale, since it's leaving the field. And then swing in for 60 or 58. Just 1,000 short of game here. But you're putting your opponent on, you know, top deck, like the best card in your entire deck. Even at that point, you have to play through 2 interruptions, which is going to be very difficult. Colin also has Emergence Vishuda in hand, which is a really, really good follow-up. Yeah, that's what the Otter added back, I believe. I don't know if I said Ashina, but he did add back the Vishuda. At this point, I remember specifically this point overhearing Buffalo teammates talking about, you know, do they negate the right here? Do they let it walk? I feel like the only reason you might even want to consider negating it is the possibility of a second Fateful Adventure in the main deck, since they've already removed the first one. And I think they just put them on, you know, have a second Fateful. Otherwise, you don't really care about them generating a token whatsoever. You'd rather just, you know, let it resolve. Yeah, they don't get Fateful. And then try to, you know, hit the next card they play, a better card. Because they're obviously going to start with their worst cards, right? Save their best cards for last. And we're going to see E-Telly get activated. That's going to force the Baron negate. And then we're going to see him normal summon Seer. Pretty good normal summon. It will self-destruct immediately, though, because of the adventure token. And that's going to trigger Seer's Graveyard effect. You want Reborn Cherubini. So, not in the worst position here. But you still have to worry about a Chi Xiao negate, which is quite a bit at this point in time. Especially when you're on, you know, you have no cards in hand. Top decking, the opponent has insane follow-up. You're also only at 1,000 life points here. Not looking too good for Figs. And Colin definitely with the upper hand here. Looking very strong going into this the 5th and final round of this. We might have to get the brooms out. I don't know. We might have to start calling Colin the Janitor, even though that's Bill Way's title. But, you know, always cool to see a sweep. But, yeah. We're going to see this Cherubini resolve here. I think he's sending Boots. I know it's cut off a little bit, but the camera rig got a little crooked here, so I had to zoom in a little bit to straighten out the footage. But he does send Cloak here. Interestingly enough. Cloak will add the Boots. And I think we're gonna... Okay, so he is gonna go into Nightmare Unicorn. Unicorn is going to attempt to spin back the Baron. Obviously being the bigger threat here. We know it's going to force out the Chi-Jiao negate that will banish Longyun. And you force out another negate, and you've got the Boots Engrave, which can go ahead and secure a Fog Blade here. But really not much else he can do at this point. I think they were talking about, you know, if he grabs Shade Brigadine, he could summon the Shade Brigadine, make Link Spider, go into Access Code, and then Access Code pops one, runs over the Chi-Jiao. But at that point, it's not game. Really not too much to be scared of. Colin's going to top deck Ecclesia here. Pretty good draw. We're going to see Baron in the main phase attempt to pop the set, force out the Fog Blade immediately. Says, you know what, that's fine. This is just going to be game here. Normal Taya, and just show him real quick, you know, get token, Synchro for Baxia, spin the 2 cards, and that's just game outright. So Colin taking it 2-0 over Figs there. And yeah, again, check out his channel at the link below. And Rochester only has 1 player left, which is Chrisorama, I believe. So you guys will see that in the next installment of the Buffalo vs. Rochester 5v5. Will Buffalo get a sweep? Stay tuned for next time to find out. Yeah, Colin looking like kind of like an unstoppable force here in this little Team War money match extravaganza. So yeah, that's going to do it for this one. If you guys want to see more of my content, click on one of the videos popping up on the bottom of the screen right now. And last but not least, a huge shout out goes to our Divine level channel members, who are Tweeter0226, Pony Start, Cadillacs84, Justin Lamb, and HCH Cyber. Thank you guys so much as always for your extremely kind and generous support of the channel.